Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So today, the Civil Rights Museum is opening in Jackson, Mississippi, and to celebrate the occasion, Donald Trump was scheduled to give a public address at the museum today. But in response to talk of him giving this address at the museum, many Black leaders and organizations have decided to boycott the event. And following this controversy, Donald Trump has decided that instead of giving a public address, he's going to participate in a private event at the museum. And people who have decided to boycott this event include Representative John Lewis, Representative Benny Thompson, and also the mayor of the city, Chokwe Lumumba. And you have organizations like the NAACP saying that they will not attend this event. And I just want to take time to commend these Black leaders and Black organizations for speaking out. Because Donald Trump is the last person that needs to be given an address at a civil rights museum. As far as I'm concerned, that's analogous to Bull Connor giving an address at a civil rights museum. It's analogous to Adolf Hitler giving an address at a Holocaust museum. That's what it's like, because Donald Trump has an abysmal record when it comes to civil rights. This is a man who, during his campaign, he encouraged violence against Black protesters. This is a man who refused for the longest time to condemn the racism and the white supremacists at that rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. This is a man who talked about how there were good people participating in this pro-Confederate rally. Good people participating in a white supremacist rally where a woman was killed. Good people participating in a rally where Black people were beaten. Good people participating in a rally where someone fired shots into a crowd. This is Donald Trump's idea of good people. This man said that there was blame on both sides, even though the violence was committed primarily by these white supremacists. But this is the man that they felt was fit to open up a civil rights museum. This is a man who openly condoned racial profiling during the presidential election, condoned New York-style stop and frisk programs, a program declared unconstitutional by a federal court. This is a man who set up a sham voter fraud commission whose real intent was to disenfranchise African American and other minority voters in this country, suppressing Black voters and suppressing Latino voters and other so-called minorities in this country. This is a man whose Justice Department called into question and asked to reconsider several consent decrees entered with police departments. These consent decrees were designed to end discriminatory practices, designed to end excessive use of force, designed to end the unjustified killing of Black people. But yet this man and his Justice Department decided it to be fit to reconsider these consent decrees. This is a man who has a Justice Department that isn't about implementing and enforcing consent decrees to end these discriminatory practices. This is a man who wants to use his Justice Department to close the door of opportunity for African American students by fighting against affirmative action. This is a man who wants to end programs that benefit poor people, and many of whom are African American and other minority groups, by ending Section 8. This man's idea of making America great again is by making more people homeless again. This is a man who wants to take food out of the mouths of poor people by ending food stamp programs. This is a man who wants to take away health care from people. He wants to implement a policy that will get rid of a lot of benefits that people receive now under so-called Obamacare, making millions of people uninsured. That's your president. That's the man that they think is fit to open up a civil rights museum. A man who has imposed a travel ban, a discriminatory travel ban against Muslims. But this is the man that's fit to open a civil rights museum. This is a man who has an anti-immigrant mentality. This is a man who called Mexicans criminals and rapists. But this is the man that they saw fit to open a civil rights museum. This is a man who has retweeted tweets from white supremacist groups like Britain First. But yet this is the man that they found fit and appropriate to open a civil rights museum. This is a man who has no respect for women. Women's rights are civil rights. This is a man who bragged about sexually assaulting women. This is a man who has been disrespectful towards women. This is a man who is accused of sexual misconduct by several women. This is a man who endorses a candidate for U.S. Senate, a candidate who has been accused of sexual harassment and sexual abuse. But he feels free to endorse this man, even though many of the victims were underage teenage girls. This is your president. This man is not fit to open a civil rights museum. This man should be boycotted. And all people of conscience should avoid that event because this man is a disgrace. This man shouldn't be opening anybody's civil rights movement or anybody's civil rights museum. I mean, how would you have somebody like this open a civil rights museum? Somebody with this atrocious record. I mean, this is a man who called for the death penalty to be reinstated in New York City to be used against the suspects in the Central Park rape case. African-American suspects who were later found to be not guilty, who were later exonerated. Until this day, this man has not apologized. This is the man who said that black people, he doesn't want black people counting his money. But this is the man that they found fit to open a civil rights museum. So I just want to conclude by saying that I commend all those black people who had the courage to boycott this event, who had the courage to call this president out on his hypocrisy and his nonsense and his racism. So tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.